Have you ever met someone who completely ignores their own birthday? While the rest of us are posting countdown stories and planning celebrations, they're treating it like just another Tuesday. No fanfare, no cake, no acknowledgement whatsoever. You might think they're being modest, or maybe they just forgot, but there's actually something far more fascinating happening in their mind. The psychology behind this behavior reveals truths about human nature that might completely change how you see yourself and others. Picture this scenario. It's your coworker's birthday, and you mention it to them, expecting some excitement or at least acknowledgement. Instead, they shrug and say they don't really do birthdays. They seem genuinely unbothered, almost confused by your surprise. This isn't about being humble or playing it down for attention. These people have genuinely rewired their relationship with personal celebration in ways that most of us never consider. What drives someone to disconnect from what society considers a universal human experience? The answer isn't as simple as you might think. It's not just one type of person or one single reason. There are actually distinct psychological patterns that lead people down this path, and each one tells a different story about how our minds adapt to life's experiences. Some of these individuals have learned through painful repetition that expecting celebration leads to disappointment. Their brains have essentially built protective walls around the concept of personal recognition. When you've experienced enough forgotten birthdays or half-hearted acknowledgments, your mind starts treating the day as ordinary to shield you from that familiar sting of unmet expectations. Then there are those who've become so consumed by the demands of modern existence that special occasions simply fade into the background noise of responsibilities. These aren't people who consciously choose to ignore their birthday. Instead, they've become so mentally overloaded that even personally significant dates lose their emotional weight.
Their attention is scattered across so many urgent priorities that nothing feels truly special anymore. But perhaps the most intriguing group consists of those who've achieved something that psychologists find remarkably healthy. They've developed what researchers call internal validation systems. These individuals don't need external markers or celebrations to feel valued or acknowledged. They've somehow learned to generate their own sense of worth without requiring others to recognize or celebrate them. This psychological independence runs deeper than just birthdays. It affects how they approach recognition at work, social gatherings, and even major life milestones. They've cultivated an inner compass that doesn't rely on external celebration to confirm their significance. But this raises an important question about human connection, complete emotional and whether self-sufficiency is actually as healthy as it appears. The fascinating part is how these different psychological patterns shape not just how someone treats their birthday, but how they navigate their entire emotional landscape. Understanding these mindsets reveals something profound about human resilience, adaptation, and our fundamental need for recognition versus independence. What's remarkable is how these patterns reveal themselves in everyday interactions. Watch someone who treats their birthday like nothing special, and you'll notice they often approach other life events the same way. They don't get excited about promotions at work. They don't make a big deal about anniversaries or achievements. It's not that they don't feel joy or satisfaction. They just process these emotions differently than most of us do. For those who learned early that expectations lead to pain, this approach becomes a survival mechanism. Their minds created a buffer, a zone around anything that could potentially disappoint them. They've trained themselves to find contentment in the ordinary moments rather than waiting for special occasions that might not live up to their hopes. It's a form of emotional protection that actually works quite well for them. But there's something deeper happening here that most people miss. These individuals often possess an unusual level of emotional stability. While others are riding the roller coaster of anticipation and potential letdown, they maintain a steady baseline of contentment. They don't need the highs of celebration because they've learned to avoid the lows of disappointment. The ones overwhelmed by life's pace represent a different psychological adaptation entirely. Their brains have essentially shifted into survival mode, where only the most urgent matters register as important. Birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, they all blend into the background because their mental bandwidth is completely consumed by immediate demands. This isn't a conscious choice. It's cognitive overload expressing itself through emotional numbness. Then there's the group that fascinates psychologists the most. These are people who've somehow developed what researchers call secure internal validation. They don't reject celebration out of fear or overwhelm. They simply don't need it. Their sense of self-worth comes from within, independent of external recognition or acknowledgement. This psychological independence can seem almost alien to those of us who crave external validation, but it represents something that many people spend their entire lives trying to achieve. The ability to feel complete and valued without needing others to confirm it. These individuals have found a way to celebrate themselves internally every single day, rather than waiting for one designated date on the calendar. The question this raises about human nature is profound. Are we designed to need external celebration and recognition? Or is that just something we've been conditioned to expect?
These birthday avoiders might actually be showing us what emotional maturity looks like when it's fully developed. They've learned to find meaning and joy in existence itself, rather than in the performance of celebration. Understanding these psychological patterns doesn't just explain birthday behavior. It reveals fundamental truths about how different minds process significance, meaning, and self-worth in ways that challenge everything we assume about human emotional needs. So, whether you're someone who throws elaborate birthday parties or treats the day like any other 24 hours, both approaches reveal something profound about your inner world. For some, it's about protecting themselves from pain. For others, it's about being overwhelmed by life's demands. And for many, it's about finding a kind of emotional independence that most of us are still searching for. The real question isn't whether celebrating birthdays is right or wrong. It's about understanding what drives these different approaches and what they teach us about human psychology. Maybe the person who ignores their birthday has learned something valuable about finding contentment that doesn't depend on external validation. Or maybe they're missing out on genuine human connection and joy. Either way, these patterns extend far beyond birthdays. They shape how we approach recognition, achievement, relationships, and our entire emotional landscape. Understanding them gives us insight not just into others, but into ourselves and the psychological patterns that guide our own lives. So tell me, which type are you? Do you need the celebration to feel valued? Or have you found ways to celebrate yourself that don't require anyone else's acknowledgement? The answer might reveal more about your psychology than you realize. As we move deeper into the psychology of why some people choose to completely ignore their own birthday, we need to take a look at what drives these seemingly indifferent attitudes. It's not that these individuals don't value relationships or connections. Rather, they've internalized a different kind of validation. This concept of self-validation goes beyond simply avoiding the spotlight. It's about understanding that their worth isn't tied to the acknowledgement of others. When you no longer rely on the applause of others, you develop a sense of emotional security that doesn't require constant external validation. For some, birthdays have become just another example of society's pressure to perform. Birthdays are often over-commercialized, over-exaggerated, and overhyped. For many, these yearly events become just another opportunity for society to dictate how they should feel, what they should wear, and how they should celebrate. The constant bombardment of perfect celebrations seen on social media only intensifies this pressure. For those who step away from the noise, ignoring the birthday can be an act of defiance. It's not a rejection of love or celebration, it's a rejection of the demand for conformity. There's also a significant number of people who avoid the attention on their birthday because they feel a deep sense of discomfort with being the center of it. In today's world, where everyone is encouraged to be the star of their own social media feed, the attention can feel suffocating. Being celebrated, receiving gifts, and getting recognition feels strange for some because they don't see themselves as deserving of it. This phenomenon can be particularly strong in those with an underlying fear of being too much, or those who carry deep-seated feelings of imposter syndrome. They may feel undeserving of praise, or that the praise doesn't reflect their real self. This inner conflict can make something as simple as a birthday feel emotionally overwhelming.
They might feel more at ease in the background, far removed from the overwhelming spotlight of a traditional celebration. This leads us to another intriguing psychological insight, the belief that happiness, or at least contentment, comes from within. Some people are able to celebrate themselves in their own way, without the external trappings that accompany social recognition. They found a way to thrive internally, without needing constant reminders from others that they matter. This doesn't mean they don't appreciate the kindness of others, but they've learned how to validate themselves in ways that aren't dependent on outside sources. They've cultivated self-worth that doesn't come from applause, gifts, or social media likes. The concept of celebrating yourself on your own terms is powerful and rooted in emotional maturity. These individuals are in touch with their core selves, and their needs are not contingent upon what the world expects of them. As a result, their birthdays may simply feel like another day, a chance to quietly reflect, to engage in their favorite activities, or to spend time with close friends or family without the fanfare. It's not about rejecting connection, it's about protecting their peace and independence. What's fascinating about this approach to birthdays and life in general is the balance of emotional detachment and connection. These individuals have mastered the ability to stay connected to themselves while allowing others to do the same. They recognize that people should not be defined by the celebrations they receive or the attention they get, but by how they contribute to the world in meaningful, authentic ways. They don't need a birthday party to feel valued. They understand that value is something inherent and doesn't require external displays to be acknowledged. But there's something even more profound happening in this psychological landscape. For many, the choice to detach from birthday celebrations speaks to a deeper understanding of time and personal growth.
They view birthdays not as milestones of aging or achievements, but as markers of another year of experience. This perspective removes the pressure of having to do something special for the day. It's a quiet celebration of progress made, wisdom gained, and lessons learned. They understand that life doesn't need to be punctuated by grand moments to be meaningful. Small moments, like quiet reflection or time spent in solitude, carry just as much weight. This philosophical approach to time and birthdays often leads to a unique ability to savor the moment. While others may feel anxiety about the passage of time or the pressure to meet societal expectations, these individuals embrace the ebb and flow of life. They are at peace with both the good and the bad, understanding that neither defines their sense of self-worth. They found joy in the journey, not in reaching the next milestone. Lastly, for some, birthdays are simply too emotional. They can trigger intense feelings, memories, or existential questions. For people who are particularly introspective, the passage of time on their birthday can be a reminder of what's changed, what's been lost, or what's still to be achieved. Rather than celebrating the day, they retreat into their inner world to process those emotions. The day becomes a personal time of reflection, not a public spectacle. It's a chance to assess, to grow, and to connect with oneself. In conclusion, the people who don't celebrate their birthdays or treat them like any other day aren't necessarily rejecting the idea of celebration. Instead, they've learned to cultivate a deeper sense of self-validation, emotional independence, and personal growth. They don't need external celebrations to define their worth or provide them with happiness. Their birthdays, for them, are simply another opportunity to reflect on their journey. Understanding this behavior gives us a profound insight into the complexity of human nature and the different ways we all seek recognition, emotional fulfillment, and connection. Whether you choose to celebrate your birthday or not, it's important to understand that the true measure of a person's worth doesn't lie in how they celebrate, but in how they see and value themselves.